Pod Street is an official affiliate of Birdland Sports. Visit birdlandsports.com/upodstreet, and 10% of your order will go directly to supporting the pod. Use code UPODSTREET at checkout, and you'll get 10% taken off your order. Now sit back, relax, and keep that beer cold, because it's on to UPod Street. What is up, Birdland? I am Jimmy Horn, your co-host here at UPod Street, and joining me, as always, is the brunette Thor himself, Jack Bain. Jack,
what's up?
It's been a couple weeks. How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm busy. You can chalk up the missed weeks to me. The Green Terror. We're all over the place playing around, Myrtle Beach and what have you. So yeah, that one's on me, but we're back. Should be more regular.
How was your tournament and stuff?
It was good. Wasn't quite a tournament. They call it spring training.
Okay.
So we just played 6 games down there. Did pretty good. Scored 70 runs in like 4 games. So
I got a question for you.
Never bad.
Because we haven't really talked about it much since you've gotten the coaching gig. What is it like for you, having played at McDaniel throughout your collegiate career, and now you're coaching there? Like, what is that experience like for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a big shift, going from, on the field to not having any sort of, way of helping the team like on the field. So you gotta try and figure out ways to help the guys. I'm like a in-between coach sort of. So I coach first base. I work a lot with the first baseman, and then all the hitters too. So it's
you were first base when you played, right?
Yeah. I was a first baseman, so I work with those guys. And then, obviously all the hitters. I don't really work with the pitchers much. But it's definitely a big change. And now it's the same schedule, so like the timing and everything's not any different. But now I get paid to be there, so that's always nice.
What the payment of academic experiences wasn't enough for you?
You mean paying to be there?
Yes.
Nah, it was fun. Obviously, like some days I get to the field and it's like, damn, I really wish I could play today. And that feeling comes and goes. But I'm getting better about it. But it's still a lot of fun. Just get to travel with the team. There's some guys that are still there that I played with. So, still got those relationships. And I'm doing a lot of like scouting and recruiting too. So having to go look at different players. And honestly, it's like improving my knowledge of the game a ton, right? Just being around like baseball all the time and looking at all the different intricacies. But yeah, like the only downside is that it takes away from my focus on the Orioles. So like this spring training, I've been like totally tuned out, and just reading, not really watching much.
But that means though, like if you're saying that being around baseball is improving your knowledge of the game, that means what little you do pay attention to the Orioles is going to be that much more gains. It's going to be that much more gains for your knowledge of what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just all baseball all the time right now. And then when the summer starts kicking up, it's going to be fun to get back to the yard, and look at it in a different way.
Dude, I tell you what, the freaking 80 degrees weather that we had this past week and whatnot, I was ready. Ready. I was like, let me go to the yard right now. Right. I want to watch baseball.
Absolutely.
Let's hope the forecast changes for opening day right now. We're looking at 70% chance of rain on opening day. So let's get back to that 80 degree sunny weather, man.
Still over a week away. Got some
time. We got time. I'm not panicking.
Absolutely.
But Jack, here's the thing: we're 9 days away, right, from opening day, and the Orioles roster, I believe, is at 46 individuals right now. And that needs to
Yeah.
get to shave down to what, 26?
26.
I do not envy Mike Elias at all
No.
because these guys are fighting hard for their spots on the team. And we're gonna basically, for this whole episode, for the most part, go through all the positions, all the battles that are going on, break down each player that's vying for a spot. I think, Jack, you and I can make arguments for a lot of these guys why they should be on the roster. There's some guys that we can make arguments for why they shouldn't be on the roster. I think it's going to be a really fun thing, and quite frankly, maybe a little bit of a stressful thing too, to go through all this and decide who belongs, who doesn't.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong. I mean,
Yeah.
like just like seeing all these different, like I got push tweets on because you can't watch all the games, so you get the notifications just like today, especially, right? Like
Oh my God.
Homer.
Can we talk about? I know we're going to get to him, in a little bit of this, but can I just talk about like push tweets?
Yeah.
I loved how when Jackson Holiday at the beginning of today's game hit that infield single that went straight to Bo Bichette.
Yeah.
And then he ran it out and beat the throw to first. And everyone, Orioles fans, baseball fans, MLB, like everyone was tweeting out like how amazing that was. And Jays fans were so mad. They were so mad. They're like, "Oh, we're just celebrating singles now." Like, I thought this was supposed to be the number one prospect. And then what does Jackson Holiday do? He hits a home run.
Yeah, first of the spring.
His second.
Second?
He had a grand slam against the Blue Jays like a week or so ago.
My ESPN stats not updating.
So much
making me look like a fool.
It didn't update for his one that he hit today, but he hit that grand slam against the Blue Jays like a week or so ago.
Yeah.
I just love that. But we're not there yet. I think we gotta start here. We have an order here that we put this in, and let's start with the outfield, which I think honestly the outfield to me is probably one of the most interesting battles, maybe one of the most stressful battles, because you have a solid roster here of 7 guys vying for a roster spot, 6 of whom I think could make very good cases for why they should have roster spots, 3 of who are probably locks. Well, I don't even say probably. They are locks. So going through this, we have, of course, Cedric Mullins, Anthony Santander, and Austin Hayes. Those are your 3 guys that are locks. They are going to be on the opening day roster. They have been the core of this outfield unit for the past 3 or 4 years, if not longer. These guys are going to be on opening day, which begs the question, who is your 4th outfielder? What are you going to do with a position for someone to give Anthony Santander days off, Austin Hayes, Cedric Mullins? All these guys need days off. They can't play every single day. So the 4 guys vying for that 4th spot would be Ryan McKenna, who is out of options this year. So if he doesn't make the opening day roster, he's gone. Kyle Stowers, who is making a name for himself this spring. He is leading spring training in home runs. He is one of only 2 guys that has 7 home runs right now.
Doing more than making a name for himself.
Oh, my God, yeah. Colton Cowser, also making a name for himself. Today had a 463-foot bomb. Has been absolutely killing it. Heston Kjerstad, who has been pretty quiet this spring. He came up last year at the end of the year, did pretty well at the major league level, but so far through the spring has been pretty quiet. Jack, just looking at those names that we threw out there right now, what are your initial reactions?
Yeah, I feel like just about the way that his spring has went, I don't expect Kjerstad to break camp with the team. Pretty hard to take him over a Cowser or Stowers, who are absolutely torching the world right now. So I would expect Kjerstad to be kind of take his name out of the conversation pretty quickly. But like I would call it a 2-horse race now between Stowers and Cowser. Tough, like Stowers obviously having a great spring, but it's kind of tough to immediately say yes, like right away, because he came up last year at the start, right? And
He came up the year before, middle of the season, kind of wrote out the season with the team,
yeah,
and then he did make the opening day roster last year. Yeah.
yeah. So, and he didn't produce. So it's hard to say that the Orioles have faith in him to keep this hot streak that he's had this spring going. Um, Obviously, we know Ryan McKenna and what he's capable of. Like I think his ceiling has been hit. Um, like he's having a very awful spring, quite frankly. He's batting 138. Like, I mean, I don't even need to read the rest of the slash line. That's bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Certified not good.
Certified. UPod Street certified not good.
We need a graphic that's like a big stamp that comes through when we say that. Certified not
We need
good.
to talk to our editor about that.
I'll get him on the phone.
But yeah, I think at this point it'll, like, the way that the Orioles have operated, they're gonna play guys who they know are gonna produce at the major league level. And I think that the answer here is probably Cowser, man. I feel like that's the fourth outfielder right now. But honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it went another way towards Stowers, just off of the spring. I know people say not to put much stock in the spring training numbers, but when you got 7 homers and less than 50 at bats, it's hard to deny that.
The spring training numbers, and like it's so funny because every single podcast I listen to right now says the same thing about spring training. Like, stats matter when they're good, and when they're bad, everyone's like, "Well, it's spring training, so it doesn't matter."
If they're bad for the right guys.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, if Ronald Acuna Jr. isn't having a good spring, you're not going to put any stock into that because it's Acuna Jr. But when a guy like Ryan McKenna has a bad spring, you put a little stock into that.
Well, here's my thing when I look at this. I think I agree with you about Kjerstad. I think that Kjerstad not producing in the spring, that is something that you take stock into. Go, okay, maybe he needs to work on some things down at AAA. Totally fine with that.
And who's the worst fielder out of all those guys?
Probably Kjerstad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because right now you're not going to bring him up to be a primary DH. I don't think he's proven himself enough to be that. I think he has the potential at some point in his career he could be that. I just don't think he's there yet.
Yeah.
My biggest thing that scares me out of that is, like you said, we know Ryan McKenna's ceiling. He's probably hit his ceiling.
Yeah.
A full-time AAA player that's there for depth is probably exactly what he needs to be for the rest of his career. I don't think the Orioles are going to be willing to give up Ryan McKenna for nothing. For whatever reason, I don't. This is not me saying like, well, we need to trade Ryan McKenna because we'll get something back for him and all that stuff. I'm saying that I think the Orioles ownership, the Mike Elias, Brandon Hyde, all that, like I think they are looking at this and they like Ryan McKenna. They always keep McKenna around for whatever reason. He's great speed. He's got a great speed threat, but we have like 12 other guys on this roster that we're about to go through who are also speed threats.
Yeah.
He's not a great fielder. I mean, he dropped another ball in spring training, like the Boston game at the beginning of last season. He doesn't have a lot of power. He doesn't, I mean, you just read off his average. What is it? 138? Like, he doesn't hit for average. But I just think the fact that he's out of options is going to force the Orioles' hands that they put him on this roster. I don't agree with it, but I think that's what's going to happen. And I'm going to be and I'm not going to be the only one that's really upset by that, because I think Stowers and Cowser are making very good cases for why they should be on this team. I would give Cowser the edge. Yeah. I think Cowser is the number 19 overall prospect in baseball for a reason. Yes, he came up last year, middle of the season, and he struggled. But I think he's only going to get better from that experience. I think he had a lot of time at AAA to kind of work on some things that he had trouble on. And it's not an uncommon thing that a good prospect comes up, struggles, goes down to AAA, works on things, comes back better. I think that's exactly where Cowser is. I think Stowers is an interesting storyline because, yeah, he came up the year before, was pretty good. Came up on the opening day roster last year, struggled a lot, did not get a ton of opportunities either, though. That's the other
No,
thing is,
that was his one opportunity at the start of the year.
yeah, like he played once a week basically for the first month, and then they sent him
Yeah.
down. Um, and then you kind of forgot about him because he had some sort of, I think it was a shoulder injury or something like that. He didn't play most of
Yeah.
last year, so you kind of forgot that Stowers existed. Now, Mike Elias did say back in, I think, November, or maybe beginning of December, right around the winter meetings, that he believes that Kyle Stowers is under the radar and that he is going to be a big part of this team's success this coming year. Is that him hinting that Stowers makes the opening day roster? I don't know. I mean, this was before spring training. We don't know what exactly he meant that he's going to be a big part of this team's success. Could he be trade bait? I don't know. But he's certainly making it difficult for Mike Elias. So when I look at this outfield, I agree with you, Jack. I think the guy that deserves it the most is Cowser, just barely over Stowers. But if I had to like open up my crystal ball here and say, what is Mike Elias going to do? I just have this gut feeling that Ryan McKenna is going to somehow end up on this opening day roster.
So for what it's worth, Fangraphs thinks that Colton Cowser is going to make it as the fourth outfielder. Okay. And you got to remember, like, O'Hearn in a pinch can play the outfield. Not necessarily what you want.
And Jorge Mateo, they're testing him out in the outfield too.
So there's other options there for like defensive outfield options. Jorge Mateo probably being the best defensive out of those three guys, Cowser, O'Hearn, and himself. So you got to think like offense next, right? And if Cowser comes up and stinks, he's still got two options left. And you give Stowers a shot.
And then if Stowers stinks and you drop him down, then you give Kjerstad a shot.
Yeah, somebody.
Yeah. But I like, here's my thing too. I'm not going to shed a tear if we lose Ryan McKenna to waivers.
No.
I'm not. Like, no. We are beyond the point of playing guys to save options and stuff like that. Like, we are beyond that point.
Yeah.
2 years ago, we were at that point. We were still like, well, we don't want to lose this guy, so we have to play him because he's out of options. We're not at that point anymore. We're coming off a 101 win season. Most people are predicting that the Orioles are the favorite to win the AL East. A lot of people are predicting that the Orioles are going to be the favorite to be the best in the league. I don't see how you can justify putting Ryan McKenna on this roster, but somehow I think it's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because like if you're going off of like people who play well in the spring, who don't have any options, and you need to find a spot for them, like I feel like Tyler Nevin would probably get that spot before he would, right?
Maybe. I mean, let's go ahead and move on to that. I mean, let's get into the infielders here because we got. I mean, the outfield race is tight because there's a lot of guys deserving of it. The infield race is really interesting because there's just so many guys vying for infield spots.
Just a lot going on.
Go ahead and go through it for me, Jack. Go through some of the locks and then go through everybody else, basically, I guess.
Yeah. So, I mean, you got to think that the locks are going to be Mountcastle, O'Hearn, Gunnar Henderson, obviously, and Jorge Mateo. Honestly, I would like to think that Westberg at this point is a lock, and probably Urias too. Urias is probably more of a lock than Westberg is. So you got those five guys, right? You're going to carry two catchers. That's 7, 4 outfielders. You're up to 11. So that leaves 2 more open spots. Brandon Hyde made it very clear that he was going to carry 14 pitchers and 13 position players. So, yeah.
I think for the early part of the year, that's pretty smart considering the injuries to Means and Bradish, and the fact that the bullpen is the weakest part of this team probably going forward. So it makes sense have more pitchers than position players.
13 pitchers and 12 position. No, I was right.
You were right. Math is hard.
I'm tired, man. That's unfortunate. That's a blunder on my part.
But yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense. The
Yeah.
difficult thing going through those guys. So here are the guys you haven't mentioned yet. So you got Mountcastle, Ahern, Gunner, Mateo as locks, Westberg and Arias as probable locks, although you would put Arias as a bigger lock. And then we have Jackson Holiday, Kobe Mayo, Colton Wong, who has joined the team since the last time you and I recorded, Tyler Nevin, and Nick Mayton. All right.
Nick
So
Mayton.
looking at
Smell ya.
um, so looking at that, I mean, I would agree with you that Arias is probably a lock. Big part of that is, again, options. Arias has no options, and he's got what, like 3 years left on his contract. He's got something. He's like middle of his contract. He's got
Yeah.
a long ways to go. I agree with you. I'd like to think that Jordan Westberg is a lock at this point, but there are some guys here that are really vying for the spot. I mean, Jackson Holiday and Kobe Mayo being the leaders of that. And then just Colton Wong. So we haven't talked since Colton Wong was signed.
Yeah.
Is this I want another option coming out of spring training in case Jackson Holiday doesn't make the roster? Or is this, oh, here's your Rougned Odor / Adam Frazier for the season. He's going to be a placeholder until Jackson Holiday down the road makes the roster.
Yeah. I think that Colton Wong is one, better than Rougned Odor. Two, probably better than Adam Frazier, at least defensively. And Colton Wong has been or was one of the top players at his position for a number of years on the Cardinals. So just his knowledge alone is worth having around the clubhouse, and his glove too. Especially with a lot of these young infielders who are coming up, Jackson Holiday probably being the main one right now in spring training. Just like feeding off of him. So I do think that he probably is similar to Odor and Frazier in the regard of bringing in an older guy to have more of a presence. But at this point, can you deny Jackson Holiday his roster spot?
I don't see a way where logically you do deny Jackson Holiday getting onto this roster. I think every single time people start to doubt Jackson Holiday, he proves them wrong. And there are very few people doubting Jackson Holiday at this point. I mean, anytime he does anything, not only the Orioles sharing the content of what he did, but you have, Fox Sports sharing what he did. You have Talking Baseball sharing what he did. You have Barstool Sports sharing what he did. And then most importantly out of all of that, you have Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
The MLB shares everything Jackson Holiday does because he is a superstar. He's an absolute superstar. I don't see a way that you can justify not putting him on this opening day roster. And I think Colton Wong scares me because I think that's going to be the justification of, well, we wanted to give him more time at AAA and we wanted a veteran presence in the clubhouse. So we went with Colton Wong over Jackson Holiday, which will be, I think we are again at that point where we're done experimenting. We're done just plugging players in where we have holes, right? We're a good team and Jackson Holiday makes that team better.
Absolutely.
That's what it comes down to. He makes the team better. And I think too, what is so important with the start of the season, considering that we're down John Means, we're down Kyle Bradish, right? That means in order to carry your team through those first couple months of the season, you're going to need that offense to pick up where you're lacking in your pitching. You're going to need more runs. So my biggest thing is who's going to get you more runs. Right now, I'd say Jackson Holiday easily over Colton Wong gets you more runs.
Yeah.
So why, we're in a win now scenario with this team. So put the best guy in, and the best guy is Jackson Holiday.
Yeah, I think the argument that one could make against Jackson Holiday is the fact that he hasn't really seen major league pitching, but like this spring, faced real arms. like real arms, like having high velos, a lot of spin rate, like he's seeing it and he's doing well. Like before today, he was batting 300, 333, 550 for an 883 OPS. Like that's for a 19-year-old dude. Like come on. Like, and that's before today where he had another homer and a couple of hits. So like those numbers are only going to be better. And I just don't see the point of keeping him down anymore and at least giving him a shot. Like I understand wanting to keep his service time in a team favorable way, but like you gotta like give it a shot. Like this has all the feelings of Ken Griffey Jr., right? When he was coming up. Obviously wasn't alive for that, but like all of like every like the buzz that I see around him, like it just feels the same.
Oh no, I mean, that's what people keep looking at him and calling him the kid,
Yeah.
right? Like, and I mean, think about this, Jack. We kind of rushed through last time we were talking about Jackson Holiday. We kind of rushed because we were running out of time. We didn't even talk about what his off-season workout was
Right.
because he got married, right?
There
Good
you
for
go.
him. But he didn't like buy a house with his now wife and like go move somewhere and warm or whatever. He still lives on his dad's complex. And I hate to call a home a complex, but that's basically what it is. It's a complex.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they have this giant warehouse that has a big batting cage in it and everything like that. And the second floor of that warehouse is an apartment. That is where Jackson Holiday lives. And he woke up every single day and just went out and hit baseballs and weightlifted and everything like that to get ready for the season to try and break camp. That is the work ethic of a madman,
Yeah.
and a madman that I want on my baseball team.
Yeah. He's just so consumed by this game that it's all like obviously it's all he ever thinks about. Right. Like it's all he ever works. Like this is his job now. Right. Like he didn't go to college. Right. He doesn't have to worry about high school anymore. High school.
He doesn't have to worry about dating anymore. He's
Yeah.
married, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean, like he's just so consumed by the game, and you can see it in the way that he plays, and you can see that he is probably ready to at least have a shot at the major league level. And again, like if he stinks and you have to send him down, he's not gonna like stay back down in the minors for very long. Like he'll be back up. And, like you're not gonna have to use all of his options.
well, and like you said, the one argument against him is like, well, he hasn't seen enough major league pitching. Well, what's the only way to see major league pitching?
Right.
Is to be in the major leagues. Like you're
Right.
gonna have to have him up at some point to
Yeah.
prove that argument wrong. And I think a lot of people wondered too, like how is the transition to being primarily a second baseman gonna go? As far as what I've seen from spring training highlights and everything, he's fine.
Yeah.
He's perfectly good.
Absolutely.
He had a great play today. Throwing a guy out at first, kind of going from his opposite side. Like I just don't see a way that you don't put him on this team. But the addition of Colton Wong on this team scares me for Jackson Holiday's chances of making the opening of roster. You mentioned Tyler Nevin. Tyler Nevin does not deserve to be on this team. I'm sorry. He does not deserve to be on this team. I think he's having an okay spring for himself, but I mean, we've seen the Tyler Nevin story before. He is great for a 22 Orioles who are rebuilding still and need guys to hold places while other guys are coming up through the minors. But other than that, like we don't need Tyler Nevin. He's out of options, so saying like, well, we'll just put him to AAA and we'll have that as depth. You can't do that. Same with Nick Maton. Like I don't know why these guys are still on this team, basically.
Yeah, I think like the Nevin one's weird because we thought we were done with him, but like when you stack him up against a guy like Kobe Mayo, at least for like spring stats, I'm taking Kobe Mayo
100%.
every day of the week. Like Nevin's got 13 or before today, 13 hits this spring. He's got 2 extra base hits. Like he's putting the ball in play and he's like getting hits, but he's not like doing what a corner infielder needs to be doing. Like corner infielders in the major leagues, like extra base hits, like doubles and homers, right? He's got 2 extra base hits. I mean, the batting average is good, like 302 before today, but he's slugging 395 Where you look at Kobe Mayo, who's batting 366 and slugging 610. He's got 7 doubles out of his 15 hits with 1 homer. And he's driving guys in. He's got 11 RBIs to Nevin's 3, 25 total bases to Nevin's 17. Like, I mean, just from a statistical standpoint, the Mayo is the option. Like, if you're trying to pick between Nevin, so I think this was a good exercise to take Nevin out of the running for that last one of the last roster spots.
So here's my question though: does Kobe Mayo make this team? Because he's making a heck of a case for himself.
Oh, he's making an absolutely amazing case for himself, and he's just building off of a great finish to AAA last year, right? Like he was pretty on fire as the season came to a close, and when they won the national championship in the AAA level, and he probably worked like a friggin' maniac in the offseason to get to this point where he's at now. The only reason I don't think that Mayo's going to make it is because he's blocked by the Ramon Uriases of the world. And I wouldn't say he's blocked by Westberg, but I honestly think he's blocked by Urias and nobody else.
So here's a question to you, because I posed this question onto Twitter, and people freaked out on me. So as it stands right now, I agree with you. I think Urias is the guy that's blocking Mayo from making this major league roster. Urias's role on this roster moving forward, which is very similar to what his role was last year, is he's going to be a utility start guy. He's a bench player, right? He'll come in to give guys rest. He might come in for a defensive replacement at some point in the middle of a game. I mean, he's a Gold Glove caliber infielder, so I like that role for him. I think it's a good role for him. Would you be willing to give up Urias?
Yes.
Hold on. For Kobe Mayo, knowing that would be Kobe Mayo's role probably, where he's primarily going to be a bench player and then a utility, randomly here or there. Like, that's my thing is I don't think Kobe Mayo is making a case where he should be replacing Ramon Urias on this team. He's making a case where he should be an everyday starter.
Yeah, no, that is a good point. That is a good point. I think if Mayo's up, he needs to be getting regular at bats. It's a really good point, actually, because when Urias was up, you weren't excited to see Urias last year because he was that utility guy, that platoon guy that plugged in anywhere on the field and he would be serviceable. But you weren't excited, right? You think about the name Kobe Mayo, and that's a guy that you get excited for, and you want to see him in the lineup every day. So until
you know who else you're seeing in the lineup every day? Westberg, Gunnar, Jackson Holiday.
Right.
Where does Kobe Mayo go?
I mean, if I was Michael Eyes, I'd stick Kobe Mayo at third every day. Maybe Mayo, Gunnar, Westberg, Mountcastle.
Where's Holiday?
Damn.
That's the thing. I just don't see it. There's no scenario where Kobe Mayo gets regular at bats if he makes the opening day roster.
No, probably not.
So here's my question. Would you be willing to keep Ramon Urias as that bench player? Because I think Ramon Urias is a fine bench player. And instead, would you be willing to trade Kobe Mayo for a big package?
Whew.
Because think about it. We got Corbin Burns for DL Hall and Joey Ortiz. Specifically looking at Joey Ortiz, he was a good player who did not have room on this roster. Kobe Mayo is a major league ready player who I don't see having room on this roster. So would you be willing to trade him for something big? I don't know what the big thing would be, but you could get a lot for a Kobe Mayo.
You could get a lot. Whew, that's a tough one.
See, everyone freaked out. I'm glad that you're at least saying it's a tough decision. I don't know what the right decision is. I'm just posing it as a question because everyone on Twitter freaked out on me. And they're like, how dare you even suggest trading Kobe Mayo? But he's not going to get regular at-bats in the major league level right now.
Yeah, I mean,
you're not going to do him any favors putting him on the bench.
Yeah.
So, if you want, you could trade him for a ton.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's out of the question by any means. I do think that Mayo is one of our more exciting prospects, and I would like to see him in an Orioles uniform at some point.
So was DL Hall though.
Yeah, yeah, but the DL Hall is not a Kobe Mayo type.
Well, it's
It's
pitchers
apples
and
to oranges.
it's a little different there. Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't shoot it down. No, I definitely wouldn't shoot it down.
And I'm not
like,
saying just trade him to trade him. Like it would have to be
no,
something good.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, that also raises the question: would you stick Mayo at third, Gunner short, Holiday second, Mountcastle first, and have Westberg be that utility guy?
That's a good question because Westberg can play anywhere on the left side of the infield.
Yeah, and
he was primarily second base last year, but he played some third. He played some shortstop, so he can be that Ramon Arias role. Yeah. Here's my one thing with that. Ramon Arias is a guy that, yes, is he the future of this team? Absolutely not. Is he exciting? Not really, but he's solid. So I don't want to lose Ramon Arias for something. I don't think you can get something big from Ramon Arias, but I think you could trade him away for something.
Yeah.
And so that's the big thing with him is that the fact that he's out of options, I don't want to lose him for nothing. Ryan McKenna, I can lose Ryan McKenna for nothing because we wouldn't get anything back for him. I think Ramon Arias as part of some sort of package, you could get something out of it.
No, I mean, I think you might be undervaluing a major league ready player. Like I genuinely think that like Ryan McKenna could fetch a top 20 prospect in an organization because he is major league ready, and teams who need perhaps a fourth outfielder in a desperate way, or maybe an everyday outfielder in a desperate way, you can stick McKenna in right and play every day. He'll give you a 250 batting average, maybe. But like, I think Urias, Gold Glove on his resume, a pretty good 2022 and an okay 2023. Like that'll get more than I think that some folks kind of anticipate. You package Urias and another prospect up for, I'm trying to think of like anyways, I think you could get something decent for that kind of package. Like, I don't think that we have to let Urias walk for nothing. Like we could definitely get something good for him. And have it make sense for the organization, right?
So with that in mind, are you agreeing with me? Urias is on this opening day roster and probably not Kobe Mayo.
Probably, yeah. I think that's what's going to happen. It's not what I want to happen, but it's probably what's going to happen.
I think it's an okay plan in mind, and I think Urias is on that trade block, and I'm okay with that because I'm demanding Jackson Holiday come up because we have no better options at second base, honestly. Yeah. Kobe Mayo with Jordan Westberg in mind and Gunnar Henderson in mind, and like you can get away with Mayo not being on the opening day roster, but if your plan is to have him be on this team at some point, first things first, you have to get something back from Ramon Arias.
Absolutely.
Now for pitchers. Now, the starting pitchers was a lock until everyone was broken. So what was going to be a starting rotation of Burns, Bradish, Grayson Rodriguez, Means, and Kremer. Now suddenly you have a lock of Burns, Grayson Rodriguez, Kremer. You have Tyler Wells as a lock at the fourth spot. And then Cole Irvin as a maybe fifth spot. Who do you have in mind for that fifth spot, if not Cole Irvin?
Nobody. I think it's going to be Irvin. I think it's going to be Irvin, just like his uptick and stuff from last season, I think is going to win him the job regardless. I know he kind of got touched a little bit in his last outing, but I still think that he's got a pretty good shot to get that fifth spot. I mean, who else?
I don't see anyone else. The only other option would have been Bruce Zimmerman, and he got optioned to AAA today. And that's the thing is you don't want Bruce Zimmerman on your everyday rotation right now. Like you just don't. If we're at a point where Bruce Zimmerman is back in the rotation, we're in trouble.
Yeah, and I mean this like that starting five of Burns, Grayson, Kramer, Wells, Irvin, like that'll get you to May.
Yeah, and John Means today on MLB Network, I think it was talking about how he's expecting to be ready by the end of April.
Yeah. That rotation will get you to May, and the offense is good enough to carry less than optimal rotation. So
Well,
I think
especially
that'll be
the first month where we don't have a tough schedule the first month of April.
Yeah.
I think we play the Angels twice. I think we play Oakland in there twice. I think we play Kansas City. We play like there
He's
it's
good this year. Don't get it twisted.
well, Kansas City could be really good this year. They did make a lot of moves. They did
Yeah.
make a lot of moves, which surprised me because they weren't very good last year, and all of a sudden they kind of seemed like they went for it.
But even when they were bad last year, they didn't feel like that they were stellar. Like
They were
there was
battling.
some excitement.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
But regardless, when you look at the entirety of April, it's not a difficult month. So you got to get through April. You probably got to get through May to get to Bradish.
Yeah.
The good news is that the team that you're probably fighting for in the division, the Yankees, they just had Garrett Cole go down. It sounds like a similar injury to Kyle Bradish. The whole timetable, everything they're looking at, it sounds like a similar injury. So the good news is they're going to be dealing with the same struggles that you are.
Yeah. Oh my gosh! I just found your title for this episode.
Did I put a title? I thought it was season 3, episode 3.
I know, but I just got the hiccups for the third time today.
And so
I'm gonna battle through that the rest of this episode while we talk about the bullpen.
I think you gotta hold your breath and swallow. That's supposed to do something. So good luck with that.
Start talking. I'll chime in.
I gotcha. So for bullpen, the pitchers that we have that could make the bullpen are Keegan Aiken, Brian Baker, Mike Bauman, Yanir Cano, Danny Coulombe, Jonathan Heasley, Craig Kimbrell, Cino Perez, Dylan Tate, Nick Vespi, and Jacob Webb. Now, out of those, Jack has highlighted for me the folks that are locks to make the bullpen, which would be Cano, Coulombe, Kimbrell, and Perez. I would put Tate on there as a lock if he's healthy, which everything I've heard it says that he's healthy now. So I would put Dylan Tate on there as a lock. I mean, Craig Kimbrell is your closer. Hoping that, he said that he feels very good. His past couple outings in spring training have looked pretty good. He is not going to be as good as Felix Bautista, but then again, nobody was. The big thing is going to be who's setting him up. If you have Dylan Tate and Yanir Cano setting up Craig Kimbrell, I feel pretty good about that. Especially all the videos I've seen of Dylan Tate working, where he's doing 100-mile-per-hour pretty easily on a regular basis. That to me is huge. The return of Dylan Tate cannot be underestimated for how big it's going to be for this bullpen. But the big thing is, here are the guys that are out of options. Cino Perez, out of options. Jacob Webb, out of options. Mike Bauman, who you just highlighted for me there, Jack, out of options. So you got to look at those guys. Cino Perez, certainly a lock. But Bauman and Webb are not.
I got Bauman being a lock from the last week or two. Excuse me. He's just been like throwing the ball hard, being real effective in and out of the zone. And then I think another guy who's really proved himself this spring, Nick Vespi. I know he kind of got touched today, right? I know he kind of got.
Would you say that
today,
Nick Vespi had a little bit of a hiccup today?
No. Yeah. He had a little bit of a hiccup today. But I still think that he's proved himself to be a lock for this year. And we also need more lefties in that bullpen.
Absolutely. Well, that's one of the big things that I said when I looked at our starting rotation is the fact that we don't have a lot of lefties in our starting rotation. And the way the Camden Yards dimensions are made now is it's meant to be a lefty's paradise. You want left-handed pitching to force righties to go up and try and hit it over Baltimore. And so I think, if you're not going to have that in your starting rotation, you definitely have to have it in your bullpen. Nick Vespi is a guy, he's been up and down a lot over the past 2 years. Jack, I know you and I are big Vespi guys. I haven't seen anything from Vespi that makes me go, I don't know about this guy. I will take him over Brian Baker any day. I will take him over Keegan Aiken any day. I will take him over Jacob Webb any day. I will take him over. God, I would take him over Sino Perez. Like, I would take him over a lot of guys that are fighting for spots in this bullpen. I think Nick Vespi should be a lock, but the way that they have put him up and down over the past 2 years, that's the only reason I think he's not a lock. Mike Bauman, though, I mean, to go back to him, I agree that he's a lock. He had that crazy thing last year where he kept winning games because every time he'd come in, the Orioles would then score and take a lead, and suddenly he was winning ball games. He didn't impress me a ton, but he did enough to get them through the game a lot. He sort of struggled there towards the end of the season. I think part of that is it was really his first full major league season, so I don't think he was really prepared for how long a Major League Baseball season is. So I think that was his one downfall. Is I think he just kind of dropped off at the end of the year because he got a little tired. He got a little worn out.
I agree.
Brian Baker imploded last year. Had some games where he looked pretty good at the beginning of the season, but he just completely imploded. I'd prefer not to have Baker on this team, but I have a feeling he will be. Keegan Aiken has been a thorn in our side for the past 3 years. Somehow he won't go away. So I could see him making the team too.
Yeah, I don't think Aiken will make it. Just not a high impact arm anymore. He wasn't really producing like anything that he showed like flashes in 22. And then last year, and then this year, I don't expect it to be any better. And then I don't know if you talked about Jacob Webb yet.
Not yet.
But I think that he's probably going to be a lock just off of what he did towards the end of the year last year. Pretty reliable. He's serviceable at the major league level. And yeah, I'm going to stop talking.
No, I what's going to be big for this bullpen is going to be when you have the return of John Means and Kyle Bradish, because Irvin then becomes your long relief guy, and I like Irvin as a long relief guy. I think that's a great role for him. And then Tyler Wells goes back to the bullpen, and if you have a back end of the bullpen that is Wells, Cano, Tate, and Kimbrel, I think that's a strong bullpen. I think that's as strong as many bullpens out there in the MLB. It's just going to be getting through those first 2 months to get to that point where you have that really good rotation that we were all excited about when we got the Corbin Burns trade, and having that bullpen that Wells and Irvin then joins. Because the thing is, the bullpen did take a big hit this year. With Felix Bautista going to be out all season because of Tommy John. But then DL Hall, who was looking great out of the bullpen, but we traded him for Corbin Burns. Those are two big pieces that made you feel really good about this bullpen that you lost. So getting Wells and Irvin back in that bullpen is going to be the biggest thing. And I think we're going to have to sit through 2 months where there's at least 2 guys on this bullpen that we really do not want to be in this bullpen. And that's just a matter of fact. Jack, do you think there's any debate for catcher?
No. No, I don't got there being a debate for the catching position.
I think that's really the only thing on this team that nobody's fighting for a spot for. We know it's going to be Adley Rutschman and James McCann. Maybe next year we'll see where Samuel Basayo is with his development, but until then, I mean, that's the one position we don't have to worry about who's going to make it. Adley Rutschman, James McCann, one of the best catching duos in all of baseball. Everyone's saying that Adley Rutschman is the best catcher in all of baseball. James McCann is a great backup for him. Absolutely love our catching duo.
So now that we've really geared up the lineup, this time next week, we'll be gearing up for opening day.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of things that as fans, like we kind of have to talk about, the off-field stuff that we have to talk about. One is there was a big story going on about what was going to happen with Masson and Xfinity. So Xfinity is the leading cable provider for the state of Maryland. Most Marylanders have Xfinity if they have cable. And there was a contract debate going on between Masson and Xfinity. My understanding is that Xfinity wanted to move Masson completely onto an online platform, the Xfinity Stream, where you'd still have to pay for cable, but you'd get it through streaming. And Masson didn't want that. And there was a debate going on between both sides. They did finally come to an agreement about last week or so. But that agreement is that Masson is now going up a cable level with Xfinity, where now, if you want to get Masson, you have to get the ultimate package from Xfinity, which is $20 more than what the previous level was. I will tell you, Jack, as a Xfinity customer myself, this pisses me off. And I think it brings greater need to the fact that we need a Masson only streaming platform. There is the Masson app, but in order to have the Masson app, you have to have a cable subscription. So you can't use it without a cable subscription. I'll tell you this too. Right before the episode, I was on the phone with Xfinity because I went online to try and see how I can change my account. I decided I can't afford the ultimate cable package. So every time I would try to remove cable from my package, it said I had to call Xfinity. I called Xfinity, got a robot. Robot then sent me a link to Xfinity chat to chat with their AI system to tell them what I want. I chatted with the AI system, told them what I want, and they said, "Oh, you need a representative for that. When do you want a callback time?" So I got my call back, and then they went through all the options with me of what I could do and everything like that. So they're not making it easy on you if you want to cut cable. Here's the other options that you have if you want Masson. You can stream on 2 platforms now. So they only had one before, now they have 2. It was just DirecTV Stream, and now they've added Fubo. Both of those are basically cable, but you're streaming it. Both of those cost about $90 a month if you want to get Masson on them. So they're not cheap either. I had to do math, which wasn't fun, but basically, fun fact, internet is not cheap anymore. I was expecting if I just cut cable, internet would be down below $100. I was expecting like $70 or something a month. No, it was $100 a month, $110 a month. And I was like, are you kidding me? I'm going to end up paying $200 anyways to cut my cable and then buy Fubo or DirecTV just so I can watch Masson. I mean, it was absolutely insane. So they got some deal for me, and they gave me the ultimate cable package. So now I'm paying $200 a month for cable and internet, which I think is absurd. But at the same time, I'd be paying the same amount if I cut cable and paid for internet or these 2 streaming services. It's absolutely ridiculous how difficult they are making it just so that we can watch baseball. Jack nods in agreement.
I do. I'm so sorry.
You're still getting over the hiccups, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know, Jack. Did you see what the Diamondbacks did this year?
No. I like heard of it, but I don't know the details.
So Diamondbacks now have their own streaming platform that is like, I think they call it like Snake TV or something like that. And it's $10 a month. You can stream and watch every single Diamondbacks game for the year.
I mean, the Diamondbacks are doing a lot for their fans this year. Like their ticket package for this year too. Like you can go to all the home games for like $100 or something.
I mean, like it's a no-brainer. I need Masson to do that, or I need MLB to lift blackouts. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah.
Because here's my thing is, we get through the Orioles membership, we get a free MLB TV subscription. But it doesn't do you any good because all of the Orioles games are blacked out if you're in the broadcasting area for the Orioles. So like it like I use it to stream the radio through my phone, which is nice when I'm outside grilling. I can still listen to the game and stuff. But I mean, it's pretty useless to me. Now, last year you had the Padres, who their broadcasting organization went bankrupt, and then MLB took it over and said that there wouldn't be blackouts for the San Diego area. I would love that for all of baseball. Get rid of blackouts, pay this money to MLB TV, and then do revenue sharing amongst all the teams. Like, I don't know why you couldn't do that.
It's just all money, man, and it's annoying.
It is. So for those of you that are wondering, how do I watch the Orioles this year? I hope that helped you with your decision making a little bit. Definitely look at your finances and decide for yourself what's the best option for you. Unfortunately, we just don't have a ton of options. In some more uplifting news, the Orioles do have a countdown to opening day going on. Basically, this entire next week, they have events happening at breweries. They have events happening, rallies all over the Baltimore area. The one I'm really excited for, Jack, is going to be the pre-opening day workout that's going to be open to everyone. Did you happen to get your free tickets to that?
Well, I can't go, so
so you didn't do it.
No, I certainly did not.
It's a week from today. It's on Tuesday. It's at 6:00, which I was really excited that it's at 6:00 because I thought it was going to be during the day and I wasn't going to be able to go, because when they did the same thing before the playoff series, it was during the day and I couldn't go because I was working, as a lot of people were. But free tickets to go see the Orioles work out before opening day. Why not, man? Why not?
Yeah, absolutely. And it'll be fun too, just to be in the stadium.
When I saw a lot of people for that workout before the playoff series, they got to be up close and personal with a lot of players. They got to have conversations with the players, and that's kind of what I'm looking forward to. I'm hoping that it's going to be the same kind of atmosphere for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Opening day tickets, Jack. Do you have your opening day tickets?
I do. Hopefully, I can go.
I'm going to put it out there in the universe. You will go. You will go to opening day.
Fingers crossed.
Here's my debacle. We're back to negative stuff. I'm sorry to be negative at the end of the show.
Yeah.
So I got my tickets right through my Orioles membership. I got my 2 tickets. I'm all set there. About a month and a half ago, I reached out to my parents and my sister because I wanted them to go to opening day too. And I said, hey, I'm looking at Ticketmaster. Tickets are fairly reasonably priced. Do you guys want me to buy you tickets? We'll group them all together. We'll buy the tickets. And then you guys will come into town and we'll go to opening day together. And they said, yeah. So I bought 4 tickets in my same section. All right. Through Ticketmaster. For not bad prices. It is now March 19th. I bought the tickets on June 28th. I still haven't received the tickets.
Oh boy, they'll come. They'll come, dude.
You have so much more faith than me.
I've had that happen. They'll come.
Okay.
Swear.
Okay, that makes me feel a little better. Because here's my thing: is I've reached out to Ticketmaster a lot, and they keep giving me the same answer of like, well, it'll be there. If it's not there when the event is ready to start, then contact us. And I'm like, if the event's starting and I don't have my tickets, it's already too late.
No, I'm confident that you'll get them.
Okay, well, that makes me feel better. Because it's different when you're buying tickets for other people. Because I don't want my family to come into town for nothing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, I got you.
It's all resale, which is what's holding it up. Apparently, like the answer they gave me right before the show was that what is it? It's that the tickets are resale tickets. They are processing it by batch, so we are unable to expedite the process. So they're doing them by batches, which is I don't know what that means, other than I guess they're just doing groups of them at a time.
Yeah,
which is odd. This is what really made me nervous. So I decided for my birthday this year that I was going to give a gift to myself. I was going to get tickets to a game as close to my birthday as possible, where I was going to ball out. I wasn't going to worry about price. I was going to get the best tickets I possibly could. So the Friday before my birthday, Orioles are playing the Mariners. And I had to go through Ticketmaster to get really, really good seats because they were already pretty well sold out through the Orioles. But when I went through Ticketmaster, I got 5 rows behind home plate.
Heck yeah.
Which I'm pumped about.
Absolutely.
I got those tickets right away.
Oh, yeah, well.
That's what makes me nervous about opening day. That's what makes me nervous.
Yeah, I mean, it's just opening day is definitely almost sold out. If
it is sold out
already.
It is sold out.
Yeah. So I mean, they got to disperse those from whoever was selling them to you. Like, it takes time. I'm telling you, you'll be good.
All right. Jack said I'm good, so he's gonna pay back the $600 if I don't get my tickets.
Yeah, I mean, if you hit any hiccups there, I don't know how much I can help you.
Well, you're great with hiccups, man. Jack, one more thing before we go for the day. I'm gonna put this out in the universe. Okay.
Okay.
The weather for opening day, the weather forecast for opening day between now and Tuesday, which is our next episode, it's gonna clear up. We're gonna look at a nice 70-degree and sunny day on opening day. And then these 3 things are gonna hit for opening day, which is gonna make it the most epic opening day pre-game announcements ever. Okay. One's already hit, and that is that Corbin Burns opening day starter.
Boom.
Thing number 2 is going to be that the sale of the Orioles to David Rubenstein is going to be finalized. Boom. We had a big hurdle that we jumped over the past 2 weeks where the owners committee approved it. So we're just waiting on them to cross the T's, dot the I's, I guess. I don't know what is left to finalize the sale, but they're going to finalize the sale. So during those pregame announcements, they're going to announce David Rubenstein, new majority owner of the Baltimore Orioles.
Boom.
And thing number 3 is going to be Jackson Holliday, opening day roster, starting second baseman. You're going to hear an announcement as players are running down the orange carpet, making his major league debut, the number 1 prospect in all of baseball, Jackson Holliday.
Boom.
If that all 3 of those things hit, which again, we're already a third of the way there. If all 3 of those things hit, I think I will literally have chills from the moment I wake up next Thursday all the way through the game.
Yes, sir.
With that, I think it's time for us to head out. I appreciate you guys being patient with us while we work through adulting and scheduling and getting these episodes out to you.
Thank you. And again, I'm just so sorry about the hiccups this evening.
I kind of love it. I'm not gonna lie.
Dude, that makes one of us.
I know it's got you in pain, but I think it's hilarious.
Great heavens, I'm going through it.
Go Green Terror.
Go Green Terror. Go O's. Take us out.
All right. Everyone, have a good week. We'll see you next week. We're almost opening day.
Thank you, everybody.
You've been listening to UPod Street, an Orioles podcast by fans for fans. UPod Street is an official Birdland Sports affiliate. Directly support the pod by purchasing UPod Street or other Orioles merchandise using the link birdlandsports.com/UPod Street. Get 10% off your order when you use the code UPod Street. Follow us on Twitter @UPod Street and @JackBain20. UPod Street is also on Facebook and YouTube, and you can listen to the show on all major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Spotify. On whatever platform you listen, please subscribe, rate the pod, and leave a review. If you leave a review, we may even read it on the show. We'll see you next week, and of course, let's go O's.